Y Entertainment is pulling all the stops to keep BLACKPINK united. However, the fissures are beginning to surface. With no fresh album in the horizon and a forthcoming world tour that feels more bewildering than thrilling, fans are starting to question if YG is losing grip. Is the deadline tour a means to reconnect BLACKPINK with their audience, or an unavoidable farewell masked behind contract commitments? Let's be real. It's been ages since we saw all 4 BLACKPINK members together in a manner that genuinely felt like the group was a cohesive unit. In recent years, the girls have been pursuing solo achievements and finding success quite rapidly, from chart-topping solo albums to headlining global festivals. It's evident they are flourishing. Individually, while fans celebrate their achievements, it appears that YG is gradually fading into the background. This trend is something that Nyson foresaw, given the long-standing rumors about YG mistreating BLACKPINK have persisted for years. Fans observed delayed comebacks, limited promotions, creative constraints, and numerous other challenges over the years they were actively promoting as a group. All these troubles culminated in 2023 when the girls' contracts with the label were nearing their end. Naturally, the world held its breath. Would BLACKPINK remain with YG or finally part ways for good? What transpired was somewhat of a compromise. The members renewed their contracts for group activities, yet chose total independence for everything else. This allowed for solo labels, personal schedules, and for the first time, complete creative authority. Once the girls obtained that artistic freedom, the outcomes were hard to overlook. The members dove into solo endeavors that not only showcased their unique artistry, but also made BLACKPINK's entire group discography appear rather grim. Rosé launched Rosie in December 2024. Jisoo followed with Outrage on Valentine's Day 2025. Lisa's Alter Ego released at the end of February 2025, and Jennie's Ruby wrapped things up in early March. These represented 4 solo albums issued in just under 4 months, a feat never achieved during BLACKPINK's time as a group. As if that wasn't enough, Lisa and Jennie graced the Coachella stage as solo artists in April, while Jisoo and Jennie embarked on their own mini tours, connecting with supporters in ways the group hadn't in ages. Though the group name stayed the same on paper, BLACKPINK as a collective grew quiet, and fans couldn't ignore that. Every significant milestone the members were adding to their achievements had little to do with YG and everything to do with what they could finally accomplish on their own. While BLACKPINK was busy conquering the globe individually, YG Entertainment was silently crumbling behind the scenes. As each solo drop soared in charts and illuminated global platforms, it became more obvious that BLACKPINK no longer requires YG. Yet, YG still urgently relies on BLACKPINK. In early 2025, fans discovered just how dire the situation had become. YG had concluded 2024 with its first ever operating loss, marking a full collapse in the company's history. Despite earning over $250 million in revenue, they still ended up in the negative, facing over $16 million in operational losses, and wrapping up the year with a net deficit of more than $340,000. Simply put, the moment BLACKPINK opted for independence-wise financial safety buffer disappeared. Observing these figures, it became more evident than ever to fans that YG is nothing without its top star. And as the group drifted further apart, the company had no option but to enter crisis management mode. And in classic YG style, they didn't release a fresh album or address what needed fixing. Instead, they opted for the one surefire method to generate quick revenue: a global tour. On February 5th, fans were surprised by an unexpected teaser for a 2025 worldwide tour. However, there were no dates, no locations, not even a proper title. Rather than creating excitement and anticipation, the announcement left fans utterly baffled, given that the girls were still entirely immersed in their solo ventures and without any comeback. Mention nothing about this tour felt well considered. 2 weeks later, on February 19th, YG finally unveiled the tour lineup, and it was enormous. BLACKPINK would kick off in Goyang on July 5th and 6th, head to North America. By late July, reach Paris's La Défense by August, and conclude with a 3-night stint at Tokyo Dome in January 2026. A few additional dates were added due to overwhelming demand, but even that didn't alleviate the concern that something was amiss, as it appeared Blackpink had little to showcase. Although the tour announcement was already alarming in its own right, matters only deteriorated as time passed. Matters only deteriorated as time went by. The tour is set to kick off in early July, yet there's been absolutely no sign of any group preparations. No rehearsal videos, no hints of a set list, and none of the expected behind-the-scenes footage. Meanwhile, the girls are still being seen in various countries pursuing their own activities like Rosé casually, enjoying her time in LA. It's tough not to feel like Blackpink isn't even in the same time zone, much less in the same space rehearsing together. While there are reports indicating that the group's production team has also touched down in LA, where YG operates an office, the lack of any official updates from the agency has left fans in the dark about what's truly happening behind the scenes. For a stadium tour of this magnitude, the total absence of even basic promotional content is incredibly unusual and has fostered an atmosphere more filled with doubts than excitement. Just when the silence around preparation seemed alarming enough, fans were recently given another warning, and this one came straight from the members themselves. On March 30th, Jisoo shared a behind-the-scenes vlog from her MH promotions packed with heartwarming clips of fan meet and greets and music show appearances. Yet it was a surprising moment with Roz that had fans buzzing for completely different reasons. Toward the end of the clip, Roz stops by to cheer on Jisoo during her second pre-recording for Inkao. The two engage in a heartwarming exchange until Roz casually reveals that it's the first time they've crossed paths since Christmas. That tidbit alone was enough to raise eyebrows, especially since during that period the group was reportedly gearing up for a world tour just months away. What made matters worse was Ross's response when Jisoo invited her to take part in a quick dance challenge. She pauses, chuckles, and confesses that it's been ages since she last danced. Although the moment was brushed off as playful, it didn't escape notice. Fans flocked to social media almost instantly, sharing clips of the interaction as further evidence that preparations for the anticipated tour might still be non-existent or at best precariously postponed. That said, not everyone is quick to label this tour a total disaster before it even kicks off. While the silence from YG has sparked quite a bit of panic, part of the fandom contends that just because things appear disorganized doesn't imply they genuinely are. Indeed, if you've followed Blackpink for a significant time, you'd realize that this kind of quiet period isn't unorthodox. The girls have consistently worked behind the scenes, sharing almost nothing until everything is set. Even during their solo phases, teasers only emerged when the product was finalized, not while it was still in development. And naturally, there's also the parallel to the Born Pink tour, which numerous fans recall for its turbulent initial performances where the group appeared noticeably out of harmony. Critics argued that this time things will unfold differently. Back then, the members were nearly entirely inactive. Now, however, they find themselves juggling back-to-back solo albums, global commitments, and prominent showcases. In other words, the girls have been more overtly engaged than they have been in years. Thus, while it may seem hurried, especially with no clear group promotion on the horizon, some fans maintain hope that their recent solo endeavors might actually equip them to be more prepared. Just when fans believed chaos couldn't escalate further, WG ultimately confirmed what had been ultimately validated, what had been swirling with gossip for weeks. Blackpink is set to unveil new music. However, rather than a full comeback or the highly anticipated third album, the announcement left fans feeling even more conflicted. The label disclosed that the group will drop one new track during the tour on July 5th and 6th at Goyang Main Stadium. YG provided no further details, no title, no concept, no release date, merely the assurance that audiences at the first concerts would hear it live before anyone else. The company insisted this would be a significant moment, claiming it was the ideal symbolic way to reconnect with fans. But for many, it felt more like a spontaneous decision than a long-awaited return, especially considering it's been nearly 3 years since Blackpink's last complete album was released. As tensions mounted online, something notable occurred. Lisa stepped forward. She recently conveyed a message to fans expressing her excitement for the forthcoming concerts and mentioned that the members had been diligently preparing behind the scenes. On the outside, it appeared to be a heartfelt update, but the timing did not go unnoticed, and some fans speculated it was overlooked, and a few fans believed it was a bit too convenient. Throughout social media, some started to speculate that Lisa's message was less about true excitement and more focused on damage control, with tweets going viral regarding fans reselling their tour tickets and a rising conversation about insufficient rehearsal. There was an abrupt surge of theories suggesting that someone at